And what's happening, everybody? It's another Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970 The Answer. Hope you had a great weekend. The final weekend of June. It's scary enough that July 4th is next weekend. Can you believe it? Wow. It's amazing. Amazing. The month of June just absolutely flew by. Flew by. And you know what's even better? We're just about a month away from Pizza Party at Killsborough. That's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of which, on next week's program, we're going to have Sean Torres from Killsborough at Killsborough, where I will have recorded an interview with him that we will present to you. We'll talk about all the things that are going on at Killsborough, but including, obviously, Pizza Party, which is one of my favorite events to go to. The lineup is already stacked. It's going to get even better with breweries and pizzerias. It's a lot of fun. If you have nothing to do at the end of July, the final weekend in July, do yourself a favor. Buy a ticket. Come to this event on Staten Island at Snug Harbor Cultural Center. It's awesome. It's 4 hours. You drink beer and you eat pizza. It's nothing better than that. Now, coming up in 20 minutes, Chris O'Leary from Brew York, who went to his first pizza party last year and had a great time, will join me on the show. He just went to his 4,000th brewery a couple of weeks ago. It's actually almost a month ago, which just so happens to be a place that is an old friend of the show, Troegs in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We're going to discuss that. World Cup beers. We're going to discuss a lot of different things. Great places to go in New York City to enjoy a beer during the summertime. A lot of stuff to get to with Chris. We'll do 2 segments with him, and it's always a lot of fun. I know I've been promising him for the last couple of weeks. He's had some logistical issues and some work stuff going on, so I'm just very happy that we were finally able to get him on the program. Now, first up, when we dive into news and notes and all that other good stuff. So do you remember a number of years ago, I was out in San Diego, and I'm heading back there for San Diego Beer Week in November. And we went to a place called Eppig Brewing, and we went to their Point Loma tasting room, which sits right on the water in San Diego. A beautiful space, gorgeous weather, just a fantastic place to drink beer. Now, apparently, this is according to SanDiegoVille.com, the people who own Eppig Brewing now, and it's not the original owners, they have filed a California liquor license that is rebranding Point Loma as the tasting room in Point Loma as Point Loma Beer Garden. So the once independent brewery relinquished operational control through a controversial management arrangement back in 2023. So this is almost 3 years ago. And apparently, according to the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, Eppig Brewing's longtime Shelter Island tasting room and beer garden at 2817 Dickens Street appears poised to become Point Loma Beer Garden. The pending application would transfer the beer manufacturing license from Eppig Brewing Company, LLC, to Finest City Beverage, LLC, a newly listed operator that identifies Latitude Brewing, LLC, as a member. It was submitted the same day as Mason Ale Works' Barrio Logan tasting room, transferring that license to the same entity. So it looks as though they are forming a sort of a collective with a bunch of different breweries. Now, Eppig was formed back in 2016 by Stephanie Eppig, Todd Warshaw, and brewer Clayton LeBlanc. They became a fantastic place to go to get beer, especially a lot of lagers and different European-type brewing techniques. And then a few years later, they sold. And then, they said that this was going to change things a little bit, but then their La Jolla tasting room closed. A couple of different things happened. So not sure what's going on here. And I'm just wondering if this is sort of the end of Eppig Brewing. I hope not. I had such a great time at this place when I went there a number of years ago, and I wanted to go visit it again this time around in San Diego, but I don't think I'm going to at this point. I mean, it's kind of sad. I mean, but it is what is going on here in an increasingly difficult beer world to navigate. So I'm hoping for good things. We'll post the story link. You guys decide what you think about it. And, of course, I click on links to do certain things, and they're always making me sign into stuff, and it's a pain in the butt. Not that you really need to know that. Anyway, let us move on to our next story. So, Brewbound did a story about the World Cup delivering mixed results for craft breweries across host cities. So, they talked about a couple of them. One was a German-inspired KC Beer Company in Kansas City. They are having some success with the World Cup events that are there. Apparently, they were mentioned in the New York Times, and they said, listen, we're not going to do anything different. We're going to continue to do the beers that we're doing. We'll alter our schedule a little bit, and hopefully that brings in fans. And apparently, they have gotten a lot of success out of it. During the opening match last Thursday, or 2 Thursdays ago, KC Beer Company booked reservations for more than 70 people. They had a packed house that following Sunday, and they were doing a lot of good things, and so they're happy that they're increasing their business. However, on the flip side of it, we talked about it, Bolero Snort ran an event back on June the 21st, a free fan fest for supporters of Norway's team because they were partnering up with Kvik Yeastery, a Norwegian company, because they use their yeast. And France played, or Norway played Senegal at MetLife Stadium. And Bolero Snort, about a 10, 12-minute walk to MetLife. So they were encouraging the fact, hey, you don't want to take the $98 train. You don't want to do this. Tell your rideshare to drop you off at Bolero or drive over and park in our parking lot. And you can walk to the stadium. So founder and president Bob Olson Jr., good friend of the show, told Brewbound, it seems like New York is probably getting the benefit. This is a direct quote from Bob. And here in New Jersey, we're not seeing it. The first match between Brazil and Morocco on June the 13th, Bolero Snort was bracing for a lot of people coming in. Never came. Olson said Saturday we were expecting it to be crazy. We did numbers as if it was the middle of January, not the middle of June. And it's no fault to them. They were pushing promotion after promotion out. And I just don't get why. Again, it's a 12-minute walk to MetLife. And the funny part, Bob said, was that when Taylor Swift was there, they weren't expecting craft beer drinkers. And they said when she came in, it was hopping for 3 days. They were Bolero's doing a bunch of different beers called Bull on the Pitch, a series of 10 beers inspired by countries with teams in the tournament, including Germany, Portugal, Mexico, and Norway. A lot of them lagers, and it just didn't translate. So I'm wondering why. Is it people are just going to the game and going home? They haven't sold enough tickets. It's not due to lack of promotion. Bolero's doing a great job. And if you're out there and you go to the World Cup game and you want a place to go to hang and drink, Bolero Snort's the place before you walk over to MetLife Stadium or head over to MetLife. If you want to watch the games there, you can do that too, and you're a stone's throw away from the stadium. In Boston, they ran out of beer at some bars. The Scots came in and basically cleaned out Boston. So it's different results in different cities. And again, this is no fault to Bolero because they've done a tremendous job of promoting it. It's just not translating. Now, it could be that people just don't want to travel over there because they think the traffic is going to be a nightmare. That could be it too. I don't know. And in Vermont, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that size does matter. So Long Trail Brewing, Vermont obviously known for its skiing, hiking, all that kind of stuff, has released what they call the Really Long Trail Pack. It holds 168 cans of beer. That's right. 168 cans of beer. It is supposedly the largest single-unit beer package you can legally buy in the country. This is insane. So listen to this. The box stretches nearly 9 feet long. It weighs 140 pounds when it's fully loaded. It's the equivalent of 7 standard 24-can cases crammed into one single massive piece of cardboard. Because it's so heavy and awkwardly long, the brewery had to build 3 separate handles into the design. So you cannot just carry this on your own. You're going to need at least 3 people to get it on a truck. This is wild. So Long Trail partnered up with creative agency GYK to make the box double as a literal to-scale map of Vermont's legendary 273-mile Long Trail. They made the box exactly 273 centimeters long, so that 1 centimeter represents exactly 1 mile of the actual height, the hike. The artwork wraps around the front and back, so if you flip it over to the third panel, they've printed the entire elevation profile, charting the trail's brutal 70,000 feet of climbs and descents. They even mapped out historic landmarks along the route, including a little shout-out to their own brewery in Bridgewater Corners. And they even carried the math over to the price tag. The whole thing costs exactly $273, $1 for every mile of the wilderness. It's 140. It's 140 pounds. It's 140 pounds. Could you imagine? I certainly couldn't. 140-pound cases of beer, and again, like I said, it's 7 standard 24-can cases, 168 cans. That's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Kudos to these guys. I mean, honestly, I would love to know the person that buys this thing. I really would. Unbelievable. Good work, Long Trail. Good work. All right. When we come back after a short break, we're going to have more news and notes from around the beer world, including stuff from Lost Tavern Brewing, some stuff out of Vermont, some new ownership, and some stuff from Pennsylvania as well. That's next on the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970, The Answer. Welcome back to the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970, The Answer. Oh, boy, let me tell you. Sammy Hagar, Rick Springfield the other night was unbelievable. What a great show. And tonight, actually, I'm probably just coming home from it, Joe Bonamassa and NJ Pack. Thank you, NJ Pack. Thank you, Joe Bonamassa. I will give you more details on next week's program. But I got a chance to see Joe Bonamassa winning tickets for his concert and a guitar from Joe Bonamassa. Pretty damn cool. I'll give you the whole story next week. Promise. It'll be pretty epic. Coming up in just a bit, Chris O'Leary from Brew York is going to join me on the show. He just went to his 4,000th brewery, which just so happens to be a place that's an old friend of the show, Troegs in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We're going to discuss that trip. We will talk about a lot of different beer things in the final 2 segments of the program. Chris is always a lot of fun. Now, before we get to any of the rest of the news that we have for the program, let us get to our weekly segment with our good friend, Mr. Gary Monterosso. Gary, take it away.
I'm Gary Monterosso for the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast. You know, for years, light beer had a bit of a reputation. Lower calories often meant lower flavor, but that's changing fast. Today's craft brewers are proving that lighter beers don't have to taste watered down. By using better ingredients, advanced yeast strains, carefully selected hops, and even precise water chemistry, brewers are creating beers that are lower in calories while still delivering plenty of character. In fact, some styles like hoppy pale ales, IPAs, and even the iconic Guinness Draft show that big flavor doesn't always require big calories. The bottom line, light beer has grown up. And thanks to modern brewing science, enjoying a refreshing sessionable beer without sacrificing taste is no longer a compromise. It's just good brewing.
Well, thank you for that, Gary. He is absolutely right. Light beers are making an enormous comeback right now. And Joshua Bernstein has an article out that I think it's 753. I'm going to get it wrong. So rather than trying, comment where it is, it's a great piece. I'm going to talk about it in length on next week's show. Maybe we'll get Joshua on the program again sometime in the month of July. Brewers are doing an amazing job with lower ABV lagers, and it's becoming a thing, and I'm all for it. I think it's great, especially in the summertime. It's awesome. Or you're looking to dial back how much beer you really want to drink, and you don't want to give up alcohol completely. So we're going to dive into that on next week's program. We got some other stuff to get to. Did you ever want to get into the Nathan's hot dog contest? Not me. I like hot dogs. I can't eat them like the way Joey Chestnut does. However, Sixpoint, listen to this. They're channeling your inner Joey Chestnut. Join them at Sixpoint, their second annual hot dog eating competition. If you think you have what it takes to be crowned the Sixpoint Hot Dog Eating Champion of 2026, sign up now at the link below and prepare to feast. All participants that register ahead of time receive a free commemorative T-shirt. It's on Eventbrite. Just go to Eventbrite and do a search for Sixpoint. You'll find the link there. Our top dog hot dog eating champion will receive a grand prize of 2 tickets to the Yankees I'm assuming a Yankee game. All other contestants will have the opportunity for other prizes, such as taproom gift cards, merchandise, and free beer for those 21 and over. Participation is free. All participants will receive a free custom T-shirt to wear while competing if you register early. The contest starts promptly at 1 p.m. I am guessing this is on July 4th. You know what? I want to see if I can get to this article here so I can give you the details. Okay. Yes, it is Saturday, July 4th from 1 to 2 p.m. It'll be at Sixpoint Brewery at Brookfield Place right here in Manhattan. It's the doors open up at 12:30 in the afternoon, and again, it is on July 4th. And you get to, listen, they want your if you're going to be in this contest, arrive no later than 12:30, give staff ample time to check everyone in and finalize the setup. Again, there are 10 spots. And if you secure your spot through Eventbrite, you will get a T-shirt. So it's pretty simple. They said they will still take walk-up contestants the day of the event, even if spots are still available. However, T-shirts for walk-ups are not guaranteed. But that's cool. Good for Sixpoint. Good for Brookfield Place. I got to get back over there. It's right down the street from me here. I need to get over there and have some beers and have some lunch one of these days. It'll definitely be worth it. There's some proposed legislation in Pennsylvania known as the Brews to Barns Act. It aims to offer tax credits to breweries that donate their spent grains to farms. The bill, which has seen bipartisan support, has been spearheaded by local brewery owner Jason Lavery and State Representative Ryan Bizzarro. The legislation comes as more than 60 Pennsylvania breweries have closed their doors in the past 2 years, primarily due to the impact of inflation and tariffs. The proposed act seeks to provide some economic relief to these struggling businesses. Lavery, owner of Lavery Brewing Company, brought the idea to Representative Bizzarro, and he said, I met him around Christmas time. I brought up the idea of how everything would work, how breweries need a little bit of help in these trying times with rising fuel costs, tariffs, all the added costs that we've been dealing with. The idea of a tax credit, hang on one second, my computer decides to pop things up. The idea of tax credit for donated spent grain is kind of a win for everybody. He currently donates the spent barley from his brewing process to a local farmer. He noted that receiving a tax credit for this practice would significantly impact his business. Anything that can help breweries get a little ahead on something that we're already doing as a gesture of goodwill to our community would be super huge for us. Now, Timothy Park, a local rancher, utilizes that spent grain as cattle feed and confirmed its effectiveness. He said, I pick up from several breweries in town. It makes good cattle feed. The last time I checked, it saved me $1,000 a month in feed costs. Park collects spent grain from breweries, and he mentioned that once the cows consume the grain, the barley helps reduce fertilizer costs. Separately, the Brewers Association of Pennsylvania advocating for similar legislation at the federal level. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not of Pennsylvania. This is the national association, reflecting a broader industry interest in such sustainability and cost-saving measures. It's a win-win. It's a no-brainer. The act has passed out of the House Finance Committee in Pennsylvania. It is headed to the House floor for a vote. Once we get that information, if it is passed, we'll pass it along to you. I know a lot of breweries in Jersey do the same thing, and the farmers certainly appreciate it. And I think this is, like I said, it's a win-win for everybody. Hopefully Pennsylvania passes it, and hopefully something gets done on the federal level, because it is certainly important. All right, couple of other things. Dogfish Head has released a secret stash cooler. It is inspired by the universal summer dilemma of the best flavors disappearing the second they hit the ice. The custom Dogfish Head Cocktail Secret Stash Cooler is designed with a hidden storage compartment, allowing drinkers to keep a private reserve of their favorite cocktails tucked away while the rest of the party digs into the main cooler. It's a smart idea. I love the way they did this. The first drop of coolers sold out in less than 24 hours. They have restocked it in the Dogfish Head e-store, but it may already be sold out by the time you hear this. But let me tell you something. They'll do it again. It's definitely worth it. And if there's an extra one laying around there, maybe, I'd be happy to take one off your hands there. Let's put it that way. And they've also released Dogfish Head, and Rolling Stone have combined to do an American single malt whiskey. To celebrate 250 years of American music, it's an exclusive whiskey collaboration at 90 proof, 45% ABV. It's a new 5-year aged American single malt whiskey layered with sensory nuances, blending whiskey and brandy, matured in 12 different barrel types to create a complex and uniquely American drinking experience. Only 900 cases were produced. It is on the shelves now in Delaware, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Massachusetts. Just head over to Dogfish Head's Fish Finder to locate a bottle of this exclusive whiskey collaboration. Kudos to our good friends over at Dogfish Head. They do amazing work and an amazing job, and I'm sure this whiskey is excellent. And finally, Brickaversary is back Saturday, July 11th, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. They'll have live music from Nikki Breyer Duo from 2 to 5 p.m. We'll Be Fine will be on from 8 to 10 p.m. It's 2 years since they've opened at Brick. Their 9th anniversary, 9 years since the first Icarus beer was packaged in cans. So get over there. They're going to have some favorites, returning favorites. It's going to be a blast Saturday, July 11th, all day long from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Now, when we come back after a short break, for the remainder of the program, Chris O'Leary from Brew York will join me on the show. This is the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970 The Answer. Welcome back to the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970 The Answer. Final weekend of June. The 4th of July is right around the corner. Summer is happening, and my next guest, who is he's been on the show a number of times now. I think we could call him a friend of the show. He is an individual who's been covering the New York beer scene since 2007. He has had at least one beer in over, mark this, 4,000 breweries now around the world. He's also helped breweries with marketing for quite some time as well. You can subscribe to his Substack, and I encourage you to do so because it is a fantastic weekly journey, not only into the New York, New Jersey area, but places around the country, around the world. It's brewyork.substack.com. Let me welcome back to the Craft Beer Cast on AM 970 The Answer, Chris O'Leary. Chris, thanks. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, Al. How are you?
I'm doing great. So you finally hit your 4,000th brewery a few weeks ago, and it was an OG of the craft beer scene. Tell the folks which one it was.
So it was Troegs Independent Brewing in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and it was one of those breweries that I had on my list to visit for a very long time, and I think a lot of my closer friends in beer were shocked that I hadn't been there already, considering they've been in business as long as I've been drinking beer, and they were really formative in my discovery of craft beer, from Nugget Nectar and Mad Elf and Hopback Amber, which they still had on tap when I was there visiting in May. So yeah, it was good to finally check that one off, and it was everything I imagined it would be. It's a nice, well-balanced tap room, lots of activity. It's a kind of a buzzing place on the Saturday afternoon when we went. They had some events going on outside, too. It was just a great place to be, a very boisterous place that had great beer and great food, too. So it was all around a good way to spend a Saturday afternoon hitting that milestone.
Yeah, and I have to say, I've had so much stuff from Troegs, and I myself have not actually been to the brewery, and I keep saying to my wife, we need to make a trip out to Hershey again so we can go and hang out over at Troegs. And I know Jeff from Troegs, he's always busting my chops, like, you need to come out here. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And they really do an amazing job with their beers year in and year out. And I personally think they've knocked it out of the park with their new Pennsylvania lager. Did you get a chance to try that and your impressions on that if you did?
That was the first beer I had. In fact, they were selling it outside in the parking lot before I could even get inside. So that was the first beer that was in my hand, and it is great, and it's great to see those legacy craft breweries at least, like, create new offerings that could appeal to a more mass audience, and not only that, but also appeal to craft beer nerds who appreciate lagers at the same time.
Yeah, and I love the fact that lagers are making such a comeback, and that's going to be my next question. We're talking with Chris O'Leary. He's been covering the New York beer scene since 2007. He's had at least one beer in over 4,000 breweries around the world. He's helped breweries with their marketing as well. Subscribe to his Substack, brewyork.substack.com. We're here on the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970 The Answer. So Von Ebert out in Oregon has one of their flagship beers at $3 for a big pour every day at their 3 locations, and it is doing very well. I know Jeff Allworth had taken a little bit of a dive into this, and so much so that they claim the average consumer comes back better than 28% of the time. Do you think that this could work on a smaller scale with breweries in the tri-state area, Chris, if they decided to do this?
To the extent that they can still make it profitable, sure. I realize it's a different case for every brewery, and in Von Ebert's case, they've been lucky enough to be able to expand their production pretty dramatically in the past couple of years when they took over the former Ecliptic space. It's something that I wish more breweries would at least try to do, even if it's some happy hour pricing, just to. I honestly, I think one of the biggest problems that we're facing right now is it's not just a decline in consumption of beer; it's a decline in consumer spending on beer. And so, if the problem is that they see it as too costly, if you can get someone in the door with even a $5 pour in the tri-state area, it might end up getting them to stick around for another $7 or $8 pour, or even $10 pour.
Yeah, and they were saying that the consumer, if they come in and they see that it's a $3 pour, they will buy a few more of them because they feel like they're getting something for nothing. So to your point, I think that's a smart thing. And I know in New Jersey, until they changed the laws, none of the breweries could offer a happy hour. So now that they can, right. I've seen a couple of them trying to do that, between 4 and 6, it's this much money. And I think that's actually helped them a little bit. And there are some places still, I know my local brewery in New Jersey, Wet Ticket Brewing, their Kolsch is still $5 for a pint. And it's never changed since they've opened, and they've been open for 10 years. So I think that's a great thing. Now, a couple of weeks back, you were in Schoharie, New York, for Wayward Lane's Lager Jam. Looked like a great time. How was it? It was
awesome. So, Log Jamming has been around since the COVID era. It was first put on by Human Robot in Philadelphia, and they kind of passed the torch this year to Wayward Lane, another excellent lager maker, a brewery that's won. They've basically gone head to head with Grimm among the top breweries in New York State in the New York State beer competition every year. They make excellent quality beer. Beyond just lagers too, but their lagers are excellent. They're kind of on the kind of in the middle of nowhere. With apologies to the people who live in Schoharie, New York, but
I think they know that already.
Yeah, I've driven through there many, many times. It was my drive from home to college when I was in college, and yeah, it is out there. But it was a beautiful setting, just a perfect outdoor beer fest with over 50 different breweries all pouring excellent lagers, and really a who's who of lager makers from across the country too. You had Wayfinder out of Portland, and Human Robot obviously was there. A lot of New York City representation too. You had Wild East and Nightglow and KCBC and Grimm, and it was a really excellent event. And I haven't missed one since the first one, so nice. Why stop now?
No, why stop? You're right. And I love the fact that I guess they had a shuttle running from Feiden's so that if you didn't want to drive directly to the event, you could leave your car or stop at Feiden's and pick up a shuttle and take it over to Wayward Lane, correct?
Yeah. No, and that's one of the things that I kind of preach about beer festivals is you need to make them accessible so people don't have to drive to them, because that's just downright irresponsible, and it's difficult because then if you are relying on people to drive, then you're relying on people to make responsible decisions both on their drinking and having a designated driver, and it's much easier and probably less of a liability for the organizers of beer festivals like this to offer alternate transportation.
Yeah, 100%. We're talking with Chris O'Leary. He's been covering the New York beer scene since 2007, had at least one beer in over 4,000 breweries around the world. Believe me, I know guys 500, 600. Chris shatters the mark by an enormous margin, and he's also helped breweries with their marketing as well. His Substack, which you should read every week, brewyork.substack.com. We're here on the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970, The Answer. Summer is here now, Chris, and you just wrote in your most recent newsletter that just came out about a week and a half ago some great places to enjoy the scenery around New York City, and plenty of places to chill with a cold one. You mentioned a couple of breweries. Which one of those would be your favorite to go and drink at to admire the scenery?
Oh, this is tough. I try not to play favorites,
right. But it's the scenery, not the beer. We're talking about the right. The view.
It's the scenery. It's definitely Strong Rope in Red Hook in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Like that location could not be more perfect on a nice summer day, right on the harbor. So if the wind's blowing the right way, you can get a cooler breeze even on a 100-degree day. And you can watch the Staten Island Ferry pass by. You've got the view of the Statue of Liberty. It faces west, so you get a great sunset too. It is just one of the most ideal places to drink a beer in New York City on a nice summer day.
And I have to say, and I'm sure that you would agree with me on this, Chris. We are fortunate to live in the area and work in an area where there are so many great places. Like, you forget how in the 5 boroughs themselves, there are so many great little spots where you can go and just, take a look at, maybe it's the Verrazano Bridge, or maybe it's, just overlooking the Hudson River or something like that, where you kind of forget about, hey, I'm in a big city and there's 8 million people and, it's kind of hectic. We're kind of fortunate that we live here in a place that we're able to take advantage of those things, where some places in the country you can't take advantage of those things.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say, there's something to be said for also the quality of the craft beer bars we have here as well. And that's, if I can tease something coming up in my newsletter later this summer, I'm going to do a profile of a craft beer bar in New York City every day for 30 days. So going to spend a lot of time in craft beer bars this summer. Hopefully rediscover some places I haven't been in a while, because sometimes we take that for granted.
Yeah.
that there's a lot of great places to drink outside of just going to the source and drinking beer.
100%. And the fact that, you said it before about discretionary spending and stuff, that some of these places are closing up, and it's a shame that they are. But I love that you're going to do this. If you need a companion on one of those trips, I'm happy to join you. I know I have some vacation time coming, so maybe I have to take a day and do a little drinking with you. We're talking with Chris O'Leary. He's been covering the New York beer scene since 2007. His Substack is brewyork.substack.com. We're here on the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970 The Answer. We're going to take a quick break and then a final segment with Chris O'Leary right after this on the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970 The Answer. Welcome back. Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast, AM 970 The Answer. It's the final segment of the program. We're continuing our conversation with Chris O'Leary from Brew York as he rejoins me on the program. Chris, I've been looking at the lineup so far for Pizza Party at Snug Harbor on Staten Island coming up at the end of July, and it looks outstanding so far. Are you going to be attending this year?
So, Al, this is the most disappointing news you're going to hear.
No!
I am not in attendance this year. The one day that I have plans this summer is the day of Pizza Party, and this has happened so many times.
Right.
and I will say, Sean from Killsborough, who organizes the event, he gave me plenty of heads up, and it was literally a week after I had gotten something else on my calendar for that day. So tragically, I am missing my favorite beer festival in New York City.
Oh, man. See, now I'm disappointed. Listen, like you've been going to the Lager Jam one every year. I've been going to this one every year. I've never missed one. So it's one of those great events that, folks, if you don't know, it's pizza, it's beer, it's 4 hours, it's from noon to 4. It's at Snug Harbor Cultural Center. It takes place on July the 25th. It's the last Saturday in July every year, and it's a short walk from the Staten Island Ferry. If you're coming from the city, it's about a 15-minute walk, or you could just take a bus over. It's an awesome event. 100% of the proceeds goes to Snug Harbor Cultural Center, and then when you're done, you could just walk right over to Killsborough Brewing, have yourself another slice of pizza or maybe something else, and have a beer. So, Chris, I'm so sad that you're not going to be joining us. It's going to be fun, but there's always next year, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is it, and I do not take this lightly when I say that it is my favorite beer event in New York City every year.
Yeah, it's great. It's got
it's perfect.
what Sean has done from the original event where it was only 10 breweries and a couple of pizzerias to where it is now. It has become massive. Like I'm stunned at how much it has grown in just 6 years. It's fantastic. Again, like I said, it's a fantastic event. I talk about it on the show constantly. We're actually going to have Sean on the program next week to preview Pizza Party. Now, I don't think I've ever asked you this one though. Has there ever been a brewery that you went to with no expectations and were floored when you were finished with your visit?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I would say it happens. I would say it happens probably once every couple of months or so, especially when I'm traveling to places that I haven't been where, I've had some times when I've jumped into a trip without doing much research, and I'm just kind of asking people around town, hey, where should I go? What's good here? And, people have really strong opinions on that, especially if you're asking at a brewery, who's the local person who's making the best beer in town or your favorite beer in town. And I would say that a perfect example of that, a prime example, I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee about 2 months ago, and went to a brewery called Dynamo Brewing and Beverage. It's a brewing operation that's inside a restaurant called Hello Monty, which, by the way, had some of the best shrimp and grits I ever had. But aside from that, the beer was just phenomenal. It was one of those places I knew nothing about going in. I walk in, and you already get a good idea that maybe there's going to be something good about this place. They had 3 cask engines. They had this beautiful setup of 8 horizontal serving tanks for their beer. They had phenomenal lagers. They had great English-style ales. They had a really fantastic IPA as well. Literally had never heard of this place before I walked into the brewery I went to before that.
Wow.
And it was recommended to me. And I think that's one of the things that keeps me so excited about visiting breweries, is that there's always going to be some diamond in the rough, something that you've never heard of. There's so much discovery that can still happen even after 4,000 breweries, particularly because that's a global number. I've been to about 2,500 of the breweries that are open in the U.S. now, and there's still over 9,000 of them.
Right.
So I've got some exploring left to do, and I hope there are more visits like that in my future.
That's awesome though, that it's the ones that you don't really plan on, and you're pleasantly surprised when you walk in there and you walk out with that impression. That's pretty cool. And it speaks to the volumes of the local people that live in the area that know and say, hey, you've got to check these guys out. It is absolutely worth it. Chris O'Leary from Brew York is joining me on the program right now. His Substack, brewyork.substack.com. You should absolutely subscribe to it. It is a fantastic read. We're here on the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970 The Answer. And in your blog that you wrote 2 weeks ago, you wrote about Forever Brewing, which just opened a few weeks back in the old Strong Rope location in Gowanus, Brooklyn. I had their beer at New York City Beer Week, and I need to get in touch with them. I know they were getting set to open over there, and I really didn't want to bother them. I want to get them on the program, but those guys are an absolute blast. I had a great time with them at New York City Beer Week. What did you love about the space and the beers themselves?
I think that, to be honest, the space is the space, right? Like if you visited it with Strong Rope, there's not too much that you can do with a space of that size.
Right.
I do like that because they're rooted in home brewing and had started a home brewing shop. Right. You can now buy home brewing supplies there, and that's the only brick and mortar place in Brooklyn that you can buy home brewing supplies. So that's a huge plus over the previous iteration of that space. Mm-hmm. And the beer, I've only been able to have one of their beers so far because they have run out of their own beers so often, because right now they're still brewing in small batches. They're supposed to get their new system, their Fibril system, fired up within the next couple weeks, and hopefully we'll be seeing more of their own beers on tap there. But it's also just a great place to drink, and I think that the folks who who have already become regulars in that space speaks to the fact that it's such a friendly, welcoming space.
Yeah, and what I love about that area of Gowanus, you have not only you have them there at Forever Brewing, but right down the street is Single Cut. If you walk 2 blocks over, you have Wild East. Threes is not too far away as well, so it's a nice little enclave of breweries that you could really do in a walking distance kind of thing, which is fantastic. And I love the fact that even though Strong Rope decided, hey, we're gonna stay in our Red Hook space and we're gonna close this one, somebody else came in and took it over and continuing as a brewery instead of just space that may be wasted and might not have been rented out. So I think that's awesome. Now, Chris, I got to ask: is it bittersweet that Brooklyn Brewery is closing their old location and moving a few blocks down to a new location in just a few months, which looks impressive, by the way? I've seen the renderings and stuff. Or is it the nature of the business from their perspective that they had really outgrown their space and needed something much bigger and newer?
Well, I mean, it's a miracle that they lasted as long as they did in that space. There was talk 10 years ago that their landlord wasn't going to renew their lease for their original space on North 11th Street, and that they were going to have to search for a new space. And in fact, there were teases that they were going to open a rooftop brewery in the Brooklyn Navy Yard at one point. So like they had already gone through this once a decade ago. So it is really a testament to how popular they are that they were able to stay in that space as long as they did. I will miss it because it is, it really is probably the brewery that I've been visiting the longest on a regular basis. Considering that they were brewery number 3 on my list of 4,000 plus breweries. So, I will miss the old space. I mean, there are already things that I wax nostalgic for there, like their old beer releases there, where Garrett Oliver would come out and introduce the beer, a new Brewmaster's Reserve beer to the crowd, and the whole token system that they had, back probably 10, 15 years ago, where you would exchange, buy tokens at the front window and then exchange them for beers. I will always have pangs of nostalgia for that space, but, onward and upward. And I think that they have a really great opportunity to, kind of invigorate themselves within the community. I think a lot of people take for granted what Brooklyn Brewery does as far as beer goes when, locally. When you go in there on a Saturday afternoon, it's mostly foreign tourists because they do export to over 30 different markets. So they really have international appeal, but it's cool to see that they're going into a space that hopefully will endear them to the locals who might not have tried their beers in a while and have missed out on some of the good, one-off and small batch beers that they do and will continue to produce in the new space.
All right, last question for me, Chris. You're over 4,000 breweries that you visited. Is there one brewery that you have not been to yet, and I'm sure there is, that you are planning to go to this year?
This year? Oh, gosh. Put me on the spot there. I would say that New Glarus in Wisconsin has been on my list for a very long time.
Okay.
It's one that is renowned for, among Wisconsinites, because they only distribute their beer in Wisconsin.
Right.
And despite only selling their beer in Wisconsin, they're the 14th largest brewery in the U.S. right now.
Yep.
I think craft brewery in the U.S. So they are making a ton of beer there, and I would love to see it. They are actually in the midst of remodeling, so I may hold off another year until they finish their remodel so I can see the finished product. But that is a bucket list brewery for me that is kind of an egregious miss when you've been to over 4,000 breweries, much like Troegs was until I visited, in late May. So.
Right. All right. Well, there you go. So it's New Glarus. So, okay. I'm hoping that you get there this year. If not, then it will certainly be next year. My guest has been Chris O'Leary. He's been covering the New York beer scene since 2007. You subscribe to his Substack. It's an awesome read every week. brewyork.substack.com. Chris, thanks so much for joining me tonight, my friend. I really appreciate it. Let's catch up with a beer sometime.
Sounds great, Al. Thanks for having me.
You got it. My thanks to everybody involved in the program, as well as my guest, Chris O'Leary from Brew York, and, of course, last but not least, the great Buddy Watson. I will be back Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, on the Joe Piscopo Show. I'm actually off on Monday, celebrating some stuff with my wife on Monday. This has been the Al Gattullo Craft Beer Cast on AM 970 The Answer. Cheers, everybody.